Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. Possibly a wet welcome, it depends. We've kind of been having a few storms and such. And yes, a storm is certainly brewing, metaphorically speaking, as well as literally. Because, yeah, I'm sure that I've titled this video something along the lines of, you know, I may have a serious problem or something like that, or I don't know, whatever it might be. So I will jump straight to the chase in regards to that. The reason I say I may or I might have a problem, or whatever I called it, is because it's not definitive as of yet. But it's looking that way. So I think I mentioned this a while back that I rebooted, that I reinstalled Windows on my computer because, because it kept on basically crashing, and then every time I tried to restart it, it wouldn't work until I restored a previous save point of Windows in general. And this happened like a couple of times. I thought, well, okay, sure, you know, install a previous save point, but clearly there's something that is, you know, the source of this problem, right? Because, you know, it wouldn't just come out of nowhere. That would be ridiculous. So I then, of course, you know, looked into it, and well, I wanted to look into it. I basically, another option, because it gives you like a bunch of like boot options on a computer, some of which I don't quite understand. Things like, you know, use a USB drive or something to, you know, I guess if you want to install an operating system again from a USB or something, and that'd be different or whatever. I don't really know. And then there was, you know, like, you know, change your, you know, default settings or something, your UE blah-de-blah-de-blahs or whatever. I looked at a few of those when it kept happening, but eventually I decided to basically just to reinstall Windows, basically. And so I did, and you know, it said that, you know, you could keep all of your files, but your but your apps would have to be reinstalled. Which, you know, I thought, well, okay, that's fine. Didn't think that one through all the way necessarily, because that did mean that I lost the progress that I was making in terms of modeling for the next Fallen Angels episode on Gacha. The character poses that were completely and entirely full. You know, I managed to actually fill the slots in Gacha Life 2 with custom poses eventually. All of that is, well, I guess it's gone from having been saved. I still have the original folder where a lot of those like originally came from, like the Gacha Club poses specifically, as well as you know, the ones that were shared in the Mutant Gold Community Discord server, so I can easily recover some of those. But yeah, all of Orchid's outfits are gone, except for, of course, the images on Reactive. You know, you get the idea. You know, I lost a lot of, like, you know, the raw sources to a few of these things, but you know, there was a lot that was still there. So I was like, okay, fine, sure, I will gradually over time reinstall things as they become apparent that I need them or I remember that I had them, and basically went from there, which worked fine until last night when the same thing happened after I had reinstalled several of the antiviruses that came as a package. So apparently the things that, I mean, I know some antiviruses disguise themselves as malware all the time, but these were either from links that my dad had prepared that were like 9-night downloads, whereas all of them at the same time or something. They were all secure, or at least so it seemed, and I don't know, something just seemed to they seem to not like being within proximity of each other. I'm not really sure. So then the crash happened again, and the same thing as before, except for after some time of trying every other option instead of because for some reason, even though there was a previous save point like last time, before I downloaded a few of those, like, other things, the antiviruses, but it wouldn't let me tick the box to it. It said, "Oh, you've got to reinstall the save point that has Windows on it," which is the only one that was on there. But when the time came to click the box, I was like, okay, clicking it. It's not ticking, wouldn't let me go to next, so that was that. And after I tried a few other options, that suddenly was gone. So I don't know if I just have a computer that now, for some reason, has no save points and possibly no Windows either, because some of the options for booting it up also disappeared after that. Or whether or not there's, there's hope for it. So, obviously, I have, I live with two tech experts, so, it's not like, that I've given up just yet, but it's entirely possible that at some point, fairly soon, because I think I've had this one for 4 years now, so it's entirely possible that I may just have to get a new laptop. And if that is the case, I will have lost more files, but not all of them, because a lot of them are stored in OneDrive. In fact, actually, my spare laptop, the one that I switched to so I can continue with this stuff, and the one that I edited most of the most recent Mutant Girl episode, not the remake, has a lot of that stuff already on there, and access to OneDrive, so I can recover a lot if I need to. Right now, my plan with that is see if the current laptop can be recovered, and if not, look into getting a new main one after so long. I mean, the warranty expired last year, so clearly they were not expecting it to endure for as long as it did. And then see if I need certain OneDrive files go there and to retrieve them, with the exception potentially of some of the D&D assets that I need for tonight, because we're doing another one. Stay tuned. I believe that's at 3:30 EST, in case anyone's interested. But yeah, I guess I hope that as I log in on a separate account, it saves my images from there. I don't know. I've got Gacha Life 2 on the other laptop, so I can always do an emergency recreation. Not like I haven't gotten used to remaking Orchid over and over again. But anyway, but yeah. So if that's what needs to happen, then I'll just make sure, to not overwhelm the spare laptop, and then we'll see what needs to be done from there. So that's why I say I might have a problem, and that problem might extend to potentially tonight, because I don't think the other laptop has OBS on it. So, we shall see. I'll definitely send a message from some device at some point over to that group and see what the best course of action is. Because I know some of them have taken over streams when I have, floundered on a personal level. They also haven't sent me the new images anyway, so I have to save them somewhere regardless. But yeah, I'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. I've got time to set that stuff up anyway. But yeah, that's I guess the main update for this week, and it happened literally last night. So, which is probably fine, because I don't want to be out here for too long, considering that the storms, the actual physical storms, might actually return. Yeah, I don't know. And for the record, with Fallen Angels, I guess I had to reinstall, like, a bunch of, like, the poses for the running and everything, so I didn't lose a grand amount of progress with the scenes that I was working on, but I guess it does mean that I have to, once again, recreate the same, oh wait, no, actually, because I've got, well, I have to, oh no, because I can't access the notepad with the offline exports now. So yeah, I have to go through the whole process of, like, using the mobile installs to get that sorted. Why not just use Gacha Club, you say? Well, I have my reasons. There will be, I mean, maybe for one of the scenes, because I got two. For one of the scenes, I could use Gacha Club to, help speed things up. But for the other one, I want it to be Gacha Life 2 because I have plans. A doesn't know my plans, but, he would like said plans. So yeah. I don't know, but and that's when I'll probably start doing, some other editing streams and such. Although I'm getting a few other requests back in again, some of which I've forgotten about. Bon reminded me there were some other superhero ones. But this week was supposed to be Sonic Week, or to a certain extent. I didn't stream last night, but not because of devices, because of other reasons. But yeah, when we realized that, oh yeah, there's Sonic OC's in the next Baximal P video, and of course KW has Sonic AU coming out on Friday. I don't know if she wants me to review that right as it comes out, because you want something to gain a bit of traction on its own, or some people like when I review things as soon as they come out, because that generates more hype. It depends on the channel in question and what kind of algorithm surfing specifically they want to do. So I will check with her again at some stage. And honestly, we might have a scheduled thing on Thursday anyway, because something was supposed to happen last night. But yeah, we'll figure that out. Yeah, so no one panic. Don't panic. It's all going to be okay. In one way or another, sort of, more or less, kind of, sort of, maybe. But yeah, well, after that happened, I just kind of blanked on like everything else that might have, been other developments this week. Oh, yeah, of course, other developments this week. The Fate happened. FETE. So, yes, I took part in a, this is going to be offline stuff now. On Friday, I took part in another event for the theatre company, and to help raise funds and promote the new show that I'm not a part of because I didn't get the mailing list order thing, and which I still got to ask them about now I think about it. But yeah, that they wanted to find some people for a human fruit machine. If you've seen a fruit machine in like a like a random pub or a casino in a movie or something or whatever, where you pull the lever and like the three wheels spin with different images of fruits or something. If they line up, you get a prize or something. Yeah, one of those, but basically instead of that, it's just three people lined up with a bag and some plastic fruit inside, which apparently was real fruit in previous years, as I've learnt, and also a card that says bar on it. And yeah, you basically just spun around and we'd like in circles and try, made the noises when went whoa, like that basically, and then pulled out one thing at a time basically, and yeah, it was £1 for a spin or £2 for 3 spins. So, you know, basically that. And, raised a decent amount. I mean, I was only there for an hour because what happened was we alternated. There was like a rota that you could sign up for, where it was like, oh, you can do, you can have this what like this hour slot, this hour slot, this hour slot. I think the last one was I thought was 2 hours, but I think by that point that's when everyone was like closing down and when the proper when all of the different races started, which I will go over in a second. But yeah. I didn't actually last the full hour. I remember that actually I do tend to get dizzy fairly easily sometimes, and I forgot like, oh wait, it's a good idea to spin one way and then another way the next time or something to balance you out. So yeah, didn't do that, and eventually I did have to sit down. There was one person on standby who was also in the panto who, we swapped between. I swapped between another person who also got dizzy in that meantime, and yeah, it was the whole thing. So, I rested for about 5 minutes, and the rest of the other 55 were, waiting to see if someone would actually show up, and getting progressively less talkative as time went by. And then I misjudged, and I thought, okay, I should have done for the final rota, because I just wandered about, picked up a 50p book randomly, and had an ice cream. That was it. Once my stomach was settled, obviously. Oh, and finished off the the packed lunch that I had before the ice cream. Ice cream was obviously dessert. Naturally saved until the end because, some things must be done in the proper order. But yeah, then the races started. And those ones, it started off with a kid race of ages 2 to 5 or something like that. Then you had the middle race of ages 6 to 7, and yes, the guy did in fact yell out 6-7 in the microphone, which didn't elicit much of a reaction from the kids anymore. So I'm pretty sure that's dying out now. But anyway, and then afterwards, there must have been a different one that I just didn't look at because I was focusing on the book that I found. A book full of words that don't exist but should. Made in, I'm pretty sure, 2009, and some of those words very much do exist now, so again, kind of fascinating. But anyway, once I was, free of that distraction, I suppose, or maybe before, I don't remember the order of these events, there was the women's race, and then the men's race, and I did, in fact, take part in the men's race. Problem is there were so many of us lined up that it was no way to dodge past anyone or anything, so pretty much whatever position you started in was where you ended. And there was no prize, so it was just a case of oh, I don't know, do this random thing. Then afterwards was the dog race. So yeah, lots of dog owners taking part in that one. There was also and was part of the challenge was make sure that there was plates full of one sausage not full of one sausage, with one sausage in the middle, and then after there's a cream cracker for the humans at the end. So you had to have the dog eat the sausage, then eat the cream cracker, then rush back. It was that was kind of how it went. Oh wait, before the dog race there was something else that happened, which was the tug of war. And in this one, there was a couple of random teams at one point. Then afterwards, the announcer called for boys versus girls. Said, "Oh, who wants to do boys versus girls?" I immediately went, "No!" Randomly. I wasn't even taking part; it was for the kids at that point. But my immediate gut reaction to anything boys versus girls was, "No, don't do it." And And yeah, because it's not worth it. Just not worth either the wounded pride and misguided anger, or the potential rigging that might ensue. Case in point, very clearly, the announcer did not let go of the tug of rope and was absolutely helping the girls and cheering them on for the first round, which they then won. Afterwards, he let go for the second round. They did, assuming that the boys would win on their own, I think. So it would be more of like yes, the girls won once and the boys won once. Obviously, the kids figured out immediately that it was the first one was rigged, and was like, that's a baseless accusation, and moved on. He didn't think to rig the second one in the boys' favour at all, and lived to regret that decision because the girls won the second round as well. So I guess the whole idea, the whole crusade that he was on, kind of failed miserably. I mean, he was also kind of cheering on the girls a little bit after that as well, but I don't know if that was like ironic or not, considering that he thought the boys were going to win. I don't know. It was a whole ordeal, but like I said, just not worth it. You know, there are way too many ways that boys and girls, and then like since later on, men and women are pitted against each other. And we just don't need it. The whole just needs to die out, honestly. And there's a perfect example as to why. And then came the dog race that I mentioned before, and then after that was dog musical chairs. And dog musical chairs was essentially, you had to make sure that you're going around the circle. If you missed down the chair, you couldn't backtrack, you had to go back all the way around again. And it was mainly the humans that were supposed to sit down in the chairs. One lady managed to get the dog to sit in the chairs, and she came second. So yeah, she was my favourite to win. Or I guess the dog was, I don't know. I think the eventual winner, asked oh, what's his name? Oh, my name is something something. No, the name of the dog. I don't know. But I forgot that name, so yeah, who knows. But yeah, that was dog musical chairs was definitely the highlight, especially because all of the songs they chose to play in the playlist were dog themed. There was the Scooby-Doo Where Are You theme song. There was Who Let the Dogs Out. And other ones that I don't remember exactly what they were, but you get the idea. So yeah, that was at least a nice way to wrap that up towards the end. And then there's a little bit of tidying and a bit of a there was a virtual auction that I didn't take part in. It was one of the guys the guy who played the main villain in the pantomime was announcing a couple of raffle prizes, I think it was. Oh no, it was the auction prizes. Yeah, it was the auction prizes. And he was there in a full-on purple suit, which apparently he brings out every year specifically for that fate. Which definitely upstaged me with my hat and tailcoat. There was my Quizmaster attire, but also goes all the way back to me as George Bernard Shaw in 2014. So yeah, you can imagine that my armpits were definitely a little bit squished there, but they always are with that tailcoat. After I had a growth spurt at 16, it was yeah, no, this thing is digging into my pits a little bit, but we'll ignore that. That was nothing compared to the discomfort of the dizziness and the of the fruit machine. So yeah, but yeah, that was the main actual good highlight of the week. So a nice thing to wrap up right as the storm clouds continue, which I guess is indicative that I gotta get back and face the potential technological demise of the laptop I've had for probably the longest time out of most laptops I've actually used, to be honest. It much doesn't feel that way. So yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and do that and face the storm head on. But before I do that, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you haven't already. remember that we've got D&D. No matter what is going to happen, you know, pretty sure we said tonight. Yeah, tonight at 3:30 EST. Well, I guess today, for you Americans. But yeah, and on that note, until next time, farewell.